Rootless mode allows running the Docker daemon and containers as a non-root user to mitigate potential vulnerabilities in the daemon and the container runtime. Rootless mode does not require root privileges even during the installation of the Docker daemon as long as the prerequisites are met. Yeah, the Docker Windows Mac side is in a pretty good place, but definitely slower and with some limitations. We have dev split across Windows, Linux, Mac, about 30%, 50%, 20% split. So I spent a lot of time thinking about how we handle cross-platform issues, which like is interesting. I've never really had problems on like the inside the containers with Docker. It's basically like, hey, it just runs and people on Windows are just fine. They're running it okay. Or the people who are on Linux are okay. At least with me on a Mac. The only sort of like difference, especially with the new Mac M1s, is I have to make sure that I build the images as in a cross-platform way, but there's like, you know, there's tools to do that pretty easily too. So everything ends up just working fine. Prerequisites. You must install new UID map and new GID map on the host. These commands are provided by the UID map package on most distros. Okay, so etc subuid and subgid must contain at least... Okay, so... Yeah, so it wants me to subtract these to verify, but I'm pretty sure that they have at least this many. So if we take a look at this again, here we have 100,000. So 100,000 minus that is 34,464. Oh, that's wrong. Interesting. Okay. And then let's take a look at what the other user has. So this user is this, but this has way more users. Okay, this has 100,000 users, which I should have just seen. But okay, interesting that Docker Remap has 100,000 users, whereas Secure Docker does not. But we're running as Docker Remap, so this will be fine. Or at least it was. Oh no, because if I install this as myself, I need to go over this. Okay, so we would want to update this to have the at least 65,536. We recommend that you do this on Ubuntu. So now they do have instructions for the other ones. But interesting that they're recommending that you do this for Ubuntu. Like, well, no, that you, if you're going to do this, you're doing this on Ubuntu. I guess that's a better way of putting it. Wait. Oh, okay. I thought maybe like this was a title for this. I'm like, what's going on here? Okay, so install the dbust user session package if not installed. Run this. No limitations. Only the following joiner drivers are supported, which these are normal, so everything should be fine, right? You can't use any of your security stuff. Oh, okay, install. If the system-wide Docker daemon is already running, consider disabling it. Oh, cool. So we can do this alongside of Docker. That's interesting. And then we can just install with a package. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, then we're gonna have to run. Oh, okay. So if we installed it with RPA, wait, no, I installed it with app, but it might still be in here. So let's take a look at user bin. And really, we should be doing this as my user. Secure Docker. So now we want to look for Docker D rootless setup tool. There it is. Docker D rootless setup tool. So I can do this regardless, huh? Let's see. I missed some stuff. I noticed that if I also install Docker Desktop in Linux, then I can use Docker commands without sudo. Oh, yeah. So Docker Desktop, yeah, does Docker Desktop, oh yeah, Docker Desktop, I believe, actually installs a VM for you behind the scenes. So you get the exact same thing that you would be getting in Windows and Linux, and you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But if you install, but you also, I believe, get the speed problems that come with Docker Desktop. The issues we mainly see are slowness at file copy time and some of the supporting tools, especially as we're having to move away from Docker Desktop due to the fact that licensing changes are going to impact us this year. So we're looking at wider tooling ecosystems and Mac plus Linux trends to find out, but Windows is a bit ropier. Yeah, it's earlier this year, Docker, if you use Docker Compose, take a look at Docker Compose Watch, because that might help you with the copy times. Because basically Docker has enabled or has added a feature where you don't have to have you don't have to have a volume mount on to have access to your files anymore. It can copy them in on change of files. Like you can edit them, it changes, it copies them into the container, and then it can like restart the container or just do nothing at all, or it can rebuild the image every time. Definitely take a look at that. It's pretty nice. It's also a little bit to get into, but yeah, you're getting hit with all the, I guess like your company is big enough to get hit by the Docker licensing stuff. I mean, it's not terribly expensive, but I've never worked at a company big enough to actually have to pay the license fees. Okay, so we have you. So we'll have to update. We'll have to update this stuff. Known limitations, but we should be fine by this. The IP address is not reachable from the host without NS entering into the network namespace. Now that's interesting. Am I going to be able to access? I wonder if we'll be able to access. That will definitely be something. If you installed, okay, so we do this thing. To remove the systemd service of the Docker daemon, remove that. Starting rootless Docker as a system-wide service is not supported. Kind of makes sense, right? No, okay, so I will be able to expose unprivileged ports, basically anything above 1024, which is perfectly fine because it's in my opinion that nobody should be exposing ports below that anyways, and you should just use something like Nginx to then redirect towards that. Just a thought, do you think WebAssembly server-side can compare replace Docker? What are their differences? So I've been hearing a lot about that recently, and I don't know enough about WebAssembly itself because it's just a target language, right? So I don't really understand how all of that works. Like the only system that I've heard of that uses WebAssembly to be able to like do Docker-like things also runs Kubernetes to do all that stuff. So I don't really get how that replaces Docker. Like with it doesn't really replace Docker and make it simpler. It replaces Docker and makes it more complex. So I think that there are things that will like come out, but I think there's a lot of tooling that needs to be happen, but I'm not aware about how any of that works. So like it's very black magic to me right now. I am looking forward to like people creating some really cool tooling and maybe like we get Dockerless Docker. That would be amazing. I would love that. Interesting. So if we do this, we can no longer easily limit resources. So we can't just say like, hey, don't take up all the CPU, don't take up all the memory. Okay, then there's a bunch of potential problems here. And there we go. Let's see. The better on your personal opinion on it is that WASM is more complementary than a replacement. At the moment, at least, a lot of the cool points of Docker around portability, being able to take an image and run it locally easily is missing. But that might change in the future. It's still pretty early days for the ecosystem. Yeah, that's sort of like my feeling too, is like super early days. okay. There's a lot of like, hey, all these things might not work. But this would be the last step before we just say, okay, go ahead and run it without sudo now. All right, so what do we want to do for writing this part? All right. Have a great rest of your day, the better Owen, and have fun with all your purchase orders. GavDev, hello, how are you doing today? Have I tried Podman? I have not tried Podman. I have heard a lot about it. It comes default with running in user space, which is nice. Does it run? I guess like it comes default in that stuff. I've heard good things about it. We haven't tried it. I do have in my backlog to play around with it and maybe eventually create a course on it one day, someday. But not today. Okay, so running Docker as a root user. So okay, so it is possible to install Docker as a user instead of root. This is called rootless mode and comes with some caveats. Okay, so we can do this without having installed. No, we can do this after installing Docker normally. Okay, that's good. Then, okay, so after we do that, okay, then we need to check to see how many of these subordinate UIDs and GUIDs we have available. We need at least 65,000, 536 of them. I keep on forgetting what it's called. It's the sub. And root uses it. Root owns this, so we'll need to sudo vim that. Oh, I have to do this and re-log in. Oh, that's fun. Now that, yeah, that's only just that. All they added was the sudo apt-get install -y, which I'm not going to do. Okay, this is already the newest version, but it got set to be manually installed now, which I don't know if that's a good idea. Okay, so that disables that. I'm now getting confused running back and forth between root Vim and Helix. I just tried like DD multiple times, like it's only deleting one character. What's going on? Now, is this actually installing it or is it, yeah, this sets up the daemon. Okay. So now we can install Docker as our user. Okay, so root setup tool. Okay, so we run that. Oh, install. Systemd not detected. Dockerd rootless sh needs to be started manually. Okay. Good to know. Successfully created a rootless. Current context is now rootless. Make sure the following environment variables are set or add them to your RC. Okay, now this doesn't say any of that stuff. So we are going to have to deal with this. So creating CLI context rootless. Okay, great. Successfully created. Okay, so let's actually, before I lose it. Systemd not found. You have to remove xdg runtime dir manually on every logout. That sucks. Isn't there something we can set that runs on logout though? Okay, so we'll need to add the and what am I using over here? Bin bash, okay. Now do I have a bin bash RC? I do have a bash RC. Okay, so if I I'm actually curious of whether or not I'm using that. So let's try this. There's a lot of stuff that DigitalOcean just gives us. Okay, so I want let's try echo hello, and so if I source bash RC, we should get that hello. So now if I exit out of this, I go back to root and we su back into here, we see that hello. So good. So that the bash RC is being sourced properly. So it's like nothing weird. So we know that's going to work. Okay, so then what I want to do is we're going to echo each one of these over to it. So it's saying export this. Now why do I have to remove this? Systemd not found. You have to remove xgdg runtime manually on every logout, but it's also suggesting I'm setting them, that seems a little bit weird. So if I do that, and we're just going to set this onto bash rc, also echo this one. Okay, so we append those to the bottom of the file, and if I resource, we're gonna resource RC. Okay, so that should be good to go now. And we'll have to keep this in mind to see whether or not we actually do need to do that, because I'm not 100% convinced. Okay, so that works there. And then what's next in our instructions? Uninstall to remove the systemd service of the Docker daemon. Run this. Okay, so the systemd unit file is installed as in my home directory config systemd user docker.service. Use system control user to manage the lifecycle of the daemon. Now, can I actually do this? To launch the daemon on system startup, enable the systemd service and lingering. Oh, so like, here, we'll start with this one. So first of all, not working. Exactly what we expected. Okay, so then yeah, no such file or directory. It's not really like telling me what I'm supposed to do with this, which is fun. And the enable one, I don't think it's going to have any difference. I think it's going to be the same error. Yeah. Okay, so there is the .docker. So without systemd, you need to run docker d rootlist.sh instead of docker d. The following environment variables must be set. Home directory, the runtime directory. Oh, this directory should be removed on every host shutdown. The directory can be on temp fs, however, should not be under temp. Looking interesting. That kind of sucks. Now, wait, is system control, am I not allowed to see this? This is not in my path, is it? It is in my path. Oops. Okay, there. So system control dash user. That's the problem. Failed to connect to bus, no such file or directory. There must be a lib systemd user process for the user you're running this for. Check with px, okay, blah, blah, blah. In my case, the process didn't exist because I was trying to set up background services on another account and the user wasn't logged in, except I am logged in. So I guess we'll start one at a time and take a look through here. Yeah, so we can check this. So we'll do a ps grep to systemd and then see if this can find it. And it does find it. Now it's owned by root, right? Nexus Null Dev, hello. How are you doing today? Beep boop. The solution was to, okay, but that's for to keep it running when it's not logged in, which is not what I want. XDG runtime dir must be set. In my case, it wasn't, so add a command. Okay, so they ran this as the other user. Now, so SDG runtime dir. Okay, so that is set for me. No, I don't think it's going to give me anything about SSH. Oh, okay. So it might be I have to reboot now, or at the very least log out and log back in. Let's try logging. Let's try if I quit out of here and just log back in as myself. Now I wonder if that problem will work, and it doesn't. And so the next thing to try would be a reboot, maybe. And we can wait to see if that when that comes back on, it will work. What are we doing? We are I'm creating an article for a course on Docker, and then this specific article is on securing Docker, or rather specifically securing Docker on Linux systems, because Docker on Windows and Mac are decently secured already automatically by them running sort of like in a custom VM that's installed by Docker Desktop. But if you just install Docker Engine straight, you get a lot of speed, yes, but also you get a lot more security vulnerabilities at the same time. And so we went through a bunch of different things. It's actually really cool. We've discovered lots of cool things we can do. How to remove capabilities from Docker at runtime in the container. How to remap the Docker user. So the root user in Docker is not root, but it's actually like your own user, or like a user that kind of just doesn't have any capabilities. And now we're working on installing Docker as a non-root user. Also, an ad break starting in 2.5 minutes on Twitch. And I'll probably be taking a break at that time, which is gonna have to be the last break. Actually, I have to end. Let's see. I have to end at 2:45 at the very latest. So yeah, this will have to be the last break. Wouldn't Podman be a better alternative then? I mean, it might be, but some people really want to use Docker, and this is specifically a Docker course. So I would not like put in, okay, and now use Podman in the course for Docker. So yeah. That being said, like I think I haven't tried Podman out myself. I know that it's like it's come a long way, right? Okay, so let's try this again. So we're gonna su to secure Docker. Nope. Okay, so the reboot didn't work with that. And if I look at my echo, that's still set up. So that didn't solve. That did not solve it. So maybe not there. I wonder if I need this. So yeah, that doesn't exist in there. Now they're putting that to Unix path. Okay. Oh, the HDD runtime directory. So whatever you have in there, which is the Docker thing, bus. Okay. So let's try that. What's the worst that can happen? So now if I do that command, it doesn't work. You wanted to use Podman, you got a bunch of errors building your image and running your container, so you completely put it aside. Haven't had time to restart. From what I've heard, Podman's come a long way since then. So it's become like one of those, like maybe it's working a lot better now. Okay, so you're set up to now this. So Unix path, that's great. So I want this to be Linux and not Unix because we're on a Linux system. Is this from like somebody on a Mac? No, this is on Ubuntu. Oh, ad break just started. Totally missed it. Well, I guess I had warned you that it was coming. I'm going to take a super fast break and then I will be right back to continue working on this. All right. You see no ads? No problem. I don't really care that much about it, but pre-rolls are now off for everybody else, so that's great. Let's see. Okay. No, I'm not doing enable linger. I'm literally logged in as this user. Do I have to log in directly to the user? No, right? As a side, I'm not watching your show from Sydney, Australia. You have to go to work soon. Okay. Well, have a great rest of your day. And have a great time of work. Okay, so hold on. There was also the help documents too. And maybe one of those can help us out. Where was this? Not that one. This one. So we did not get that. We did not get this no space left. Not that. This one. On a systemd host, log into the host using PAM systemd. The value is automatically set to run user UID and cleaned up on every logout. Okay. Instead of sudo IU username, you need to log in using PAM systemd. Oh, that's my problem. Okay. Log in through the graphics console. Huh. Do we have that command? No. Ooh, but that's from systemd container. Okay, so if I actually log into it directly, that would work again. Okay, so what I could potentially do is copy the key, right? Like you set up an authorized keys here. So let's say I copy you. It's like, it's a throwaway system, so this will be fine. So copy my authorized keys, which I believe there's only one in here, right? Yeah, okay, so I only have that one, and it's the public key. It's my public key. Okay, so I want to now, I want to cover you up. We're going to copy the authorized keys from here to home secure docker.ssh into there. Oh, this authorized keys already exists. Okay. What's in this? Oh, okay. You exist in here too. Wait a second. Am I just root? Am I just being silly? I am being silly. I forgot that I hadn't switched over to the user yet. Okay, so I want to su to secure Docker. There we go. No.ssh in here. So we're going to make dir.ssh. I want to make sure that this is I want 700, right? Or 600. Okay. Oh, I guess I don't want to. Oh yeah, directories need to be executable. I forgot that. 700. There we go. Nothing is in here right now, and now I should be able to copy the authorized keys to home secure Docker SSH goes into there. You're owned by root, so then I want to chown. I want to chown secure Docker, secure. Oh, it's secure Docker : secure Docker, home, secure Docker, sh, authorized keys. That's owned by that, and then it's read write, so 600 just for me. This should be fine. I should now be able to log out of here, and now I want to SSH in as secure Docker. Bam, I'm in. Okay, so now this should work. So root over here. Now I should be able to do. There we go. That's what we wanted to see. So now I can start this with that one. Unit Docker service not found. Okay. This is probably not going to work either because, yeah. Why can't you find unit Docker service? Oh, the system D unit file is installed as there. Okay. I mean, okay, but is this in the troubleshooting? That's not what I wanted. No, it is not in troubleshooting. Okay, I'm in bin bash. And then if I do some echo. Okay, that's set. So the changes that we made to the other thing works. Okay, so and I'm also running out of time because I have a meeting coming up pretty soon that I need to attend. So I'm probably gonna have to jump off. Like, probably not gonna have time to truly dive in and debug this. But we're really close to getting this to work on non-root, which is really fun. My guess. So okay, things I want to do in the last little moments. I want to like add a bunch of things into the file so we can go look at that. So, okay, we've already got this set up and written in. As a profile, okay, so we've got, that's good. Actually, you know what? We could just find this all again. This will be fine. Okay, I think we're good to go. So in that case, let me go ahead and All right, and that is pushed up to Brooks Builds. I am putting those articles into a private repository, and then I'm pushing those into the database for the actual LMS itself. Okay, so the plan. Since we're done with the Git project, we are Mondays are freed up. So the plan is to continue working on improving the LMS and the course until we're ready to deploy that on Mondays and Tuesdays. So the next time we're working on this will be Monday. And we start at 9:30 a.m. or around then. So if you're only interested in this type of stuff, then well, I'll see you then. Now tomorrow we're going to be playing a game. We're going to be on stream, and the game that we're playing is Shenzhen IO, which is a programming game. We have to program assembly but also like work with circuit breakers and other things, or I guess circuits and hardware, which is fun. I definitely have a lot of fun with it, although we're currently stuck on a puzzle, and we'll see how far we can get with this. I don't want to have to look up a solution, but if we have to, we'll see what happens. So with that being said, I hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.